But let's talk about some football, shall we, Sean?
Yes, the other things that had happened on the pitch, Darren, it'd probably be a better thing to do with our time, but we couldn't help but be distracted by that for a brief moment.
Well, it's finished 2-1 to Welling, and you can't say that was an undeserved victory. 3 goals, all mistakes, clear mistakes by various players, but that happens. But on the balance of play, a slightly more experienced, a slightly more cohesive Welling side, and a slightly older Welling side has come out of victors. Of course, people will argue that George Elokobi is concentrating on Saturday, especially after last season, but of course the people that will be arguing that will be the same people that would be that will be cheering at the final, or were cheering at the final last year, and would have been cheering at the final had we got to it.
Yeah, and a shame that we won't be going to a new ground in the next round in the Kent Senior Cup. But listen, it's more minutes in the legs of a number of fringe players for the Stones. You quite rightly say, Darren, Welling have the more senior lineup in terms of who was out there this evening and able to call on more senior players. Admittedly, some coming back from injury, but again, that level that they've been at is there permanently, as they always say. Stones players trying to find where their Stones fans are. There's a few of them here this evening at the far side, nearest the main road. As it just got away from the Stones in the end there, didn't it? Because that first half really did quite well, and it did seem that they were on top for large parts, had the better chances. We said already, balance of play first half, probably fairly even, but the Stones were more clinical, had the better chances. First 10-15 minutes of the game was won in that second half by Welling. The couple of goals that Welling scored were good, bombing down the channels and getting rebounds and just capitalising on the mistakes that have been made by, that has to be said, youthful looking Maidstone back line. No senior centre backs bar, you could say, Sam Smith, but of course he's been out on loan the last month, 6 weeks or so really no one that regularly plays in that back line from a Maidstone perspective. So it's just one of those things, most of them making their first start this season or their first start for a while, like I had with Sam Smith. So it's disappointing, but it's not completely out of the realms of possibility that something like that could have happened this evening with the makeshift nature of the side and the changes, and clearly George and the management team with one eye on the FA Cup game, probably in the grand scheme of things slightly more important to build for the season. If you were going to lose one of these 3 away games in the next 7 days, Darren, I'd posit you that the majority, nay every single Stones fan, would probably say I'll take losing at Welling if I can get extra time penalties, Solihull, and then definitely get at least a point of some description, possibly more at Dorking next week, would be a real tonic in the league. And having all those games between now and then, bit of chatter around us, of course, from some of the admin from Welling, but got that chance for Chukwu. That's the thing that kept the game interesting at the end. Yes. If anointed Chukwu puts that ball into the net when that comes to him, it's game over. We've already packed up. We've left with 10 minutes to go because nothing's happening with this game. But because
look at the highlights, it was easier to score.
It was.
And just going back to the first half, of course, it's the thread that's run through Maidstone's season is it wasn't a period of dominance in this case, but it was a period of chances, and we managed to put none of them away.
Yeah,
that's what has effectively cost us.
Something happened with the Stones predominantly at home, probably the first 4 or 5 league games that we had. We did have the chances, weren't able to put them away. Been a couple of away games like that. It's more at home we've had that as an issue rather than away, but certainly that crept back in, which, to be honest, isn't that much of a surprise with, again, the makeshift nature of the Stones lineup this evening. But they acquitted themselves well, and it's a shame that there won't be a final at a ground somewhere else in Kent this season for us to go and visit and try and get a 20th edition of this particular trophy that we do dearly love to play for and have done very well in recent years either side of COVID. But it's a shame. It's more minutes in the legs of the players. George will be disappointed, but at the same time he'll be happy that those minutes are in those players' legs because it gives him options. Yes. With Pierre on Saturday, again, more so on Saturday because of the positive nature of the result. It would be more based on the Hemel game than it would be tonight, that he would put himself in with a chance of getting himself in and around the squad. Obviously, you've got 18 bodies, 20, sorry, because it's 9, isn't it, on the bench from the first round proper. So, I mean, there's plenty of space. 4 or 5 of those players, possibly 2 or 3 of the younger ones, potentially could make their way onto the bench come Saturday as well. So they're all playing for a place in that squad.
Obviously, Riley and Tyler Hatton, I'd say had really good games. And again, Stones Live will not be broadcasting on Saturday.
They will.
Right.
Breaking news.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
Breaking news. They will be. Yes. Yeah. That was going to be announced in the preview video for later
my
in the week
apologies.
as well.
Sorry, I've stolen your thunder.
No, of course. No thunder to be stolen. Because I mean, obviously, we would say at this point we've finished with this match. We're looking ahead to Solihull. But yes, there is a subsection. There is a paragraph somewhere that does indeed state that they have changed it for this season going forward. First round to quarter-finals. So clearly, they're anticipating the Stones getting one round further than last season for us. Let's hope so. For us to broadcast, because clearly the last 3 games at Wembley, they think, probably. But we'll give them a run for their money at Solihull first, and hopefully we can get quarters, semis, finals. I've made room on my spreadsheets for the FA Cup data. I didn't think I'd put a 5th round on there last season, but I've got quarters, semis, and final page. Dare to dream before Nigel gets teary-eyed. We'll mention that again, of course, but. Yes, we will be there. Chris and Fred will be on air from about 2:40. I mean, Chris might go on early. Who knows? Listen in from whenever you want, because lots of repeats of some of the old classic FA Cup games, as we can call them now, from last season, from 9 months ago. But yes, we will be on air. Myself and Nigel will be on air this time next week. Hopefully, not as angry as we were about 2 years ago when Bobby Joe scored 2 stoppage time headers. In one of Hack's last games in charge. It was a furious evening, that one, from memory. But 2 places we don't like to go to for our next 2 away games. Absolute stinkers, if you could have chosen them, I think, as people have said before.
Yeah, but they're there to be changed, aren't they?
They are. Yes, like tonight's record could have been for the Stones, but unfortunately Welling stuck to their guns. We'll wait and see if Solihull and or Dorking change their modus operandi against us anytime soon.
Well, to be quite honest, a couple of times over the last 12 or so months, 2 years, I've broadcast with you and come into the they have never beaten us, and that has lasted until about 5 o'clock.
Yes, York springs to mind,
Truro.
And Truro as well.
Yeah.
I know Joe and Nigel had that with Torquay as well the other year when we went out National League. So. Listen, hopefully it works in our favour for once. I know we've got a cracking record against Hemel, and that came true. So
yes,
it's on a knife edge, frankly. First 11 go out from the Stones, with or without John Benton. Again, we'll assume that he won't be there. But very much looking forward to it. If you can't be there, the next best thing, Chris and Fred will do the honours for you. But I suppose at this late hour, Darren, probably only got one thing left to say, and we'll skedaddle on. Well, probably find the 96 bus if we need to go to Blue Water, or others are available. Put the teeth in. Anyway, shall we go?
I think we've missed the last train. Yes, I think we better
last
go.
Train to London, ELO.
Yeah.
And after we've said ELO, we'll say goodbye. 1, 2, 3, shall we leave?
Are you ready?
We are.
Come on, you Stones.
Come on, let's have it.